think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Yeah. I just Googled Doug Ford, and the very first picture that came up from Toronto Life, I genuinely cannot tell if it's meant to be a caricature or not, or if it's just a stupid face. That's fantastic.
It's a stupid face. Yeah.
Oh, I see it here. Yeah, he's got a big stupid face.
Yeah.
What a beauty.
It's hard not to transition straight into Rofo, but I won't.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is a reason to do it though. Like, I don't think we have Racist Grandpa without the trailblazer that was Rob Ford. I think the crack smoking piece of shit, fucking gangster idiot, kind of, set the tone for our current political moment. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
He broke ground. A whole new kind of politician was born.
Yeah. Earth.
Crack smoking.
couldn't have been the first one.
It's the first one that
first to be caught.
Publicly said it.
It was caught on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also talked about eating pussy on live television.
Yeah. What a beauty.
Just said it. You know what? Sometimes Canada does it right.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, like another time Canada did it right with a little director named James Cameron.
Actually, I want to lead the way into our beautiful Extinction Agenda Aliens 1986 discussion, directed by one glorious James Cameron, Canadian classic, by saying James Cameron actually recently shit on all the fans.
Of Alien?
Yeah, he raged because they said that his 4K, the Aliens was recently released on 4K as an anniversary.
Yeah.
It was a shitty digital transfer of the Blu-ray.
Okay.
Nobody went back to the original film. Like those Conan the Barbarians we were talking about, where that Arrow video, they get the original fucking video, the original film, right? And they do a nice 4K transfer. Well, James didn't even do that. They did like a shitty Blu-ray transfer. He's like, my guys helped me with this, and I looked at the color and frame by frame, and you fucking idiots need to get out of your basements and go meet a girl or something.
That's good advice.
Like verbatim said that. Yeah. No, it's not. No, man. You know what? If you are paying money for a remastered film and you're getting fucking shystered by some fucking goon like James Cameron, then I mean, fuck you, man. Film's an art. Just treat it that way, fuckface. Anyway.
Okay, good enough. We didn't introduce ourselves. I'm James.
Chris.
There we go. There's Chris in the background. And we're talking aliens. And all you motherfuckers, get out of your basement. Get a girlfriend.
No. James Cameron's wrong. Stay in your basement. Enjoy good films.
Yeah. Okay. So aliens. I love this movie. I've always loved it. In having rewatched it, and I've pretty much at this point, actually, I have at this point rewatched the entire Aliens franchise except for Aliens versus Predator, like those movies. I'm not going to do that, but having watched the entire circuit, this one holds up, to say the least. I think Alien is a better movie. I think it's a leagues above this particular film, but this is a lot of fun, and it will always be fun. I'll never really have it in my heart to hate it, but at the same time, there's some things to say about this movie that I hadn't really considered before. How'd you guys feel?
I think I had the exact same experience, even down to questioning, do I still like this one the most? I think Alien rose in my esteem as I thought through this movie, but I still fucking love it. It's such a good thrill ride. For a pure technical movie experience, it just rips.
Yeah, man.
That's so funny that you said that. I was about to say, yeah, this was a rip. It's such a good ride, and it's such a fun. But like, I will say this, on this watch through again, which is like my gajillionth watch through. I've never, and I don't think this has changed the last few years. I'm not picking up anything new.
Right.
I'm not seeing anything better. I'm not seeing anybody's performances differently. I'm not really seeing anything like it's an action movie. There's a technical mastery. There's some great practical sets. You know, people came to play, but like, I don't know. Overall, outside of Sigourney, I didn't like you say, like I picked up new things in Alien. And there's always something to talk about, and always something to like dissect, and always almost something new. But this not so much this time.
I'll say one visual effect because like thinking as much as we did about Alien, like one of the reasons I was excited today, because not only is this a great movie and fun to talk about, but we can start doing some compare and contrast shit. Because we have two movies that we've seen in the franchise, and well, like in this series that we're doing anyway. And yeah, I noticed how cheap the sets look, and how dicey some of these shots are, and like listening to the audio commentary and some of the tricks they use, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, for instance, the hyper sleep things, like the little capsules the Marines get out of it, they only had like 4 of them, but they set up mirrors on either side to create that that infinity effect. And once you see it, like, you can't unsee it. It's and yeah, just like in comparison to Ridley's shooting of the script was like, it's all these wide images. You only get close-ups. We talked about it at the end when things are getting really, really tense. So Ridley, in contrast, is setting up all these like long distance shots. Cameron's using a handheld. He's zooming in on faces all the time. I think that this comparative experience allows me to see like a little bit more of what this movie was doing. Like, it doesn't make me like. I'm also really taken with the psychedelia of it. Like, Cameron really likes to use lasers through smoke, which is, again, that was in Ridley's the original Alien, right? Where in the hive,
right?
But there's a lot of opportunity for like just through cigarette smoke or through the in the beginning when they first find Ripley in this, like the salvage guys, they cut through that door and and there's all that smoke that's produced as a consequence, and then the lasers coming through, and it's just like, it's all fucking wavy gravy, and it looks great as an effect. Like, Cameron's always doing that Kurosawa thing of trying to make every scene have energy into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, too, like, speaking of lights, the nuclear explosion at the end is just like a lamp shone through cotton, and like you don't realize it because it looks cool, but like that's yeah.
Oh shit, that's funny.
That's how it's done.
You can see it in some of the images too, like the I don't think everybody's seen this, like,
yeah.
But I mean, like the loader fight where they just they got their queen puppet and they've got their loader fighting Ripley, and they just hit you with a big ass fuck face of a floodlight from behind.
Yeah.
Just so I don't know, you don't have to. I've got no background. I've got no set. I got no real space station. It's just, I'm going to give you this, So there's a few scenes like that too. The same thing with the Queen. You do get a little bit more of a set sort of going through the hallways when she's looking for Newt at the end. But then when the Queen's finally revealed, which is fucking cool. I can't take away from that. The effort that went into that reveal and that fucking nightmare scenario that burns into your mind. But when you go back, if you start, like you say, if you start looking at the tricks that are used and the increased pace of the movie, like, you can see the floodlights in behind it, just sort of like distracting you from the fact that they don't really have like a full set there.
Yeah, I like that. I'm looking at it right now. You're not wrong.
No.
It's a funny fucking trick. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Chris? Sorry.
His background, if I remember correctly, we talked about this before, but his background came out of working with Carpenter, right? Like special effects and stuff like that.
He was working for Roger Corman. I think he also was. He was trying to produce a movie. Fuck. No, wait. Oh, I don't know if I have this right. I think he was trying to produce a movie with Carpenter, and it never materialized.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
I
was
might be wrong about that.
Yeah,
but ultimately like his career is with Roger Corman, and doing stuff over there, if I remember correctly.
It's just really impressive, the like the wizardry. And I don't know, maybe it's just because like we're dissecting this, and like if we looked at a lot of, I mean, if we look at the thing, it would be amazing too. But there's there's just so much thought that goes into making a movie. And you said like it looks kind of cheap in ways. They didn't have that much of a budget to work. Like Fox wouldn't commit to the movie. They didn't think that a sequel was good. They thought the success of the first movie was just a fluke, and they didn't want to do a sequel at all. So they like had to fight even to get the budget that they had, which was like I think a third less than what they expected.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think I read something to that effect. But yeah, they didn't have a lot of money. I mean, they had millions of dollars, like 13 million or I don't know, something like that. But
to do a sequel that's bigger and more actiony and more of a roller coaster than the original with the less budget is like, it is impressive in its way.
Oh, for sure. This could have been what's the Robo-Jocks? This could have had a real Robo-Jocks vibe, you know?
Oh, it's closer than maybe people realize, but yeah, they did, and it feels like they spent money in the right places, like I don't know, for whatever reason, there's nothing futuristic about any of the vehicles or the military that they use, but you accept that it's futuristic, and I don't know how he did that. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that.
I think there's always a cheapness in, like, even in the first one, like the griminess of the ship. Like it's the future, but you got the shit end of technology because like somewhere in an office somebody is hoarding all that good stuff.
It's like a realistic capitalist future.
Yes, exactly.
Here's the army guys. They're the same as they were 100 years ago.
In that Blade Runner sort of way, in the Philip K. Dick kind of way of like, wealth is elsewhere. You get the dregs.
Yeah, and then I know we already had this conversation via chat, but I mean, like, this just all goes to my point that science fiction isn't really like a thing. Like people call it science fiction, but it just ends up being, it's just like the real world with some sort of overlay. It's not even the real world. It's a fantasy that you overlay something on top of it, and sometimes it's dragons and sometimes it's spaceships, but at the end of the day, it's just like,
this one is dragons and spaceships.
It is dragons and spaceships,
dragons
right?
and spaceships, or at least on planets,
Yeah,
and I'll go with you there. And like what we settled on, or what I settled on, I guess, is that like speculative fiction is a thing. Like all these things blend together. That is a fact. I think science fiction is a subset of a language. Like there are tropes that are commonly used, and they're useful in terms of grouping things together. But that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Now I ended up radicalizing afterwards because I was like, do I even want this category of fantasy? And I was like, all stories are lies. And I was like, how do I create like this gradation? I was like, okay, so science fiction, like assuming that all stories are lies, and I think that's safe to say. At the very least, they're all hypothetical statements. A science fiction movie is one that remains a lie but tries to seem true, like tries to seem real, and not just real, but like predictive of something. But at the end of the day, it's still just a lie. And some, like most lies, you can tell a big whopper, oh yeah, I had a monster with googly eyes. And then people tell lies that are very convincing because they manipulate people's expectations about this, that, and the other thing. Bringing it back to Aliens, Cameron is very good at lying about making, maybe here's what the future looks like. It looks just like the past, like selling that idea, because that's what people want. Like they don't want a mirror of the future. The future is frightening and fucked. They want a story that is just a little strange, a little exotic, and but relatable. Ultimately, like about today. And Alien, I think Alien produces that, like produced in 1986. Like this is they refer to it as like it's a Reagan era action movie, from the guy who wrote Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Yeah.
And it's right up there.
It's true. It's indisputable. I mean, it is like literally the same creator, so hard to dispute. I mean, I think Ripley like makes it different, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a much better movie, and I think a much better script. Although, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, what's making it a better movie for you? Like, what's making it
Rambo?
that good? No. This one, I mean, like in the franchise, like in the franchise run, and like just notoriously critically, this is a better movie than the first movie. It is the king of fucking sequels. James Cameron's the king of sequels, the Canadian king of sequels. We did Terminator 2, we did this one. Why? Like what? Because I'm like, this is fun. This is like, for me, this is like I don't know, Temple of Doom fun. But like I just don't see it artistically as good as the first one, and I almost don't know that, like, really in any kind of technical way, that it's better than even the third one.
Oh, having rewatched the third one, I'm gonna politely disagree. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems
I haven't
with that
seen
fucking movie.
I remember the computer graphics badly, but I gotta go back there.
I'm always gonna, like, we that's a one that eventually we can leave in the pocket, and we'll get around to eventually. We talked about it, like, incidentally, when we did the William Gibson episode. But yeah, I have a soft spot for Aliens 3. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it deserves the position that it has within the franchise, but
I agree there too.
But it is it's an awkward one, and it's, yeah. I do think this is much more fun. It's much more kinetic, and it's actually, again, maybe this is just one of those things, like, this was the one that scared me. This was the first one I saw. And so, like, to my mind, it's the scary one.
You know what?
Yeah.
I agree with that totally. I think as I was watching this one, this one still has elements that scare me. The surprise of the first one just doesn't anymore. And this, like, the tension of it, the way that scenes are crafted, Cameron has such a gift for ramping up tension and just, like, putting people through the ringer. And it's sharp, and the dialogue's on point. The characters, although you don't get a lot of characterization, they still shine through. Like, Bishop is great, Hudson, Vasquez. It's just torqued so tightly, and it just comes together so well. So I definitely agree with you that artistically the first one is a better movie. I think it's just in terms of pure enjoyment, which movie I'm going to want to watch more often, it's going to be this one.
I think also I'm going to turn to our good friend Northrop Frye, because that's where I was thinking about hypothetical statements, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm Fry-pilled. The fictions, therefore, may be classified not morally, but by the hero's power of action. The Alien, the hero's power of action is quite limited, right? They don't have any. Like, the fact that Sigourney survives it's like it's like Death of a Salesman type shit. It's just like a trucker survives alien attack. Whereas the hero's power of action is amped up, and I think that's always going to speak more to audiences. And Spider-Man versus Alien is much more interesting than Salesman versus Alien, right?
Yeah. Even though this movie
that's interesting.
This movie plays fast and loose with its own rules, like, so often. I think Cameron directly compared it. She said, like, if the first one's a haunted attraction, this one's a roller coaster. I think that's
Yeah.
true. I think it depends on it zipping by and like you not thinking too much about it, because like the power, like for one thing, the almost invulnerability of the alien in the first one, not so much there in this one. I know part of the premise of this one is almost like what if guns, and like so that's kind of fair, but it's just, you know, like the acid is sometimes lethal, or sometimes you can walk through a whole room of them shooting everything and like you're gonna be fine. Like it's
the acid for blood gets a lot of like hand waving and whatnot, like the mechanics of it, and which again speaks to this not being what I would characterize as science fiction, because a science fiction story, as I characterize it, would take seriously like the xenomorph, as I know they're not actually called xenomorphs in the franchise, but the like the alien's physiology, it would continue that trend of taking it seriously and working around it. And Cameron doesn't do that, because that would be like, that's boring. we're just going to show it because the audience expects it. We'll have someone's skin get horribly burned, even though the fact that it would have like dug right through them.
Yeah, you'll splash on some armor, you'll have to get out of it, it'll remind you.
Yeah, I think they are called xenomorphs in this installment.
Oh no, Gorman says like there's a xenomorph involved, but like technically in the first movie, it's just an alien, right? Like I don't know. This is a debate amongst nerds.
Well, and then the Marines cut back in and they say, oh, it's a bug hunt. They've clearly fought some, or they've clearly like been involved in exterminating other aliens. Or types of insect-like aliens.
Yeah, this movie fucks around with the idea of sort of political correctness. Like when I hear the word xenomorph, it's just like when Bishop's like, well, I prefer the term artificial person myself. Or also like government military talk, like sweep and clear. You know, like we're gonna extreme prejudice, all that shit. And so like for the lieutenant to be talking about a xenomorph, and they're like, oh, what are you talking about? You know, it's a term that they don't recognize. It's just it's officer class bullshit.
I don't care. That's when is it later at lunch when Frost talks about when they got that
the Arcturian
poontang.
Yeah, poontang.
It's like, yeah, but the one you had was a male.
Yeah. So there's been some sort of engagement with aliens in the past, and like,
that's good army talk too. Like really, it's all. And then I think also Hudson drops in a bomb about illegal aliens. So they're taking they're racist. They're taking shots at Mexicans. They're discriminatory. They're abusive to other alien cultures. It's like a very wholesome military standard. American military.
Yeah. And they're American. I mean, that's got to go somewhere with audiences too, right? Like,
yeah, these guys these guys are conquering Canada.
Yeah. Also, why is this so much fun? And I think this is important to flag in each of the movies that we're going to be talking about until we get to Romulus, when it would be impossible to say. All of the performances in this are extremely compelling. All of the actors are extremely charismatic. Everything is, everyone's so much fun and really dialed in, and you care and are interested in each of these individuals, and they charm you. And it's similar to Alien. It was similar in the performances of Alien, in which everybody's so grounded. Like you believe that these are people, but they're also like, they're not really fun. They're kind of bitchy. They're fucking bitchy to each other all the time, and they're like sleepy and they also, they have dinner together and whatnot, but they're also like kind of, these guys are always jocular, always getting along. Even their bitchiness is presented with a lot of machismo.
Predators is in the same ballpark too. Like it has the same sort of strength in a way. But along with the idea of the Marines, like I had never connected the idea of Starship Troopers being an influence on this.
Right.
I don't think I was aware of it at the time, but that's interesting. And that actually sets, I mean, the whole template, the whole archetype or whatever of the sort of like imperial, like semi-racist, potentially xenophobic sort of like Marine Corps, just going after a species for reasons unknown, or maybe for less than straightforward reasons.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to go as far back as like Pulp Fiction's on this one. Like I think the original idea probably owes itself to like because Geiler, sorry, apparently it's pronounced Geiler, and Hill came to Cameron and they were like, look, we want aliens, we want Marines, and we want you to give us a treatment on that particular, like do that for us.
True, but he
and
was
then, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, I was just okay. At the same time he's doing it, he's also doing Rambo. You know, I just feel that Vietnam and Vietnam war movies and the war movie tropes are probably a lot more at work in all of this. But like, you know, who knows? Like,
we do know he handed all the cast a copy of Starship Troopers and had them read it for the background. Yeah.
Well, fuck me then.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Is the novelized? How old's the novelization?
That novel
like
I think
50s
is
or something.
Yeah, 40s, 50s. Heinlein's an old hand.
Yeah. Starship Troopers. It's not, of course, the movie comes up first, but pardon me. Anyway, yeah, like a lot of this, like Soldiers in Space, 1959 novel. There we go. Soldiers in Space is probably a thing that's been going on for a long time. Like this movie also has a lot of sort of cowboys and Indians vibe going on too. Where they're out on a plantation essentially, like a colony, and it's been overrun by the other, which usually in your cowboys and Indian story, it's usually like they're threatened by the Injun, and these guys are coming in. Now it's a lot more modern in that they're talking. We have to rescue these colonists from their virginity.
They,
some of that, like, yeah, a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this movie too. The I don't know, the action's just like structured in it's faster, and I think because like you guys were saying, I think because of the characterization of everybody, it's just that's the part that sort of like brings it out of the, like brings it forward more. Sorry, I had a bit more of a thought there and I lost it.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, anytime you want to agree with me about aliens, I'm down for it. It's fine. Paul Reiser also really is an important part of
so slimy.
Okay, so let's see if we can connect this back to Aliens. So you said this last time, Chris, that this movie is almost beat for beat the same movie as the original Alien, in terms of structure. Like it's and there's various things being remixed, like when Ripley at the end of Alien is like, "Mother, you bitch," throws the chair or whatever, and then she that phrase is transposed and transferred over to her comment to, "Get away from her, you bitch." So one mother is replaced with another mother, like it gets blown out the airlock. All the various alien tropes, which didn't even exist at this point. This movie's creating the aliens tropes. And that, I think, yeah, that sort of familiarity is something that this franchise immediately sort of bakes into itself and will continue throughout. And I think one final thought that flows from that is that's why Aliens 3 is less thought of, because it wholesale like just kind of, what, that's not what Alien is, like, fine, where it's going to be something different. We're going to change it up.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. In fact, another connection I kind of made is that like Newt is basically a replacement for the cat from the first one, Jonesy. Like, right. Really the same role, the same. I mean, in a different way.
Similar though. I had the same thought.
Yeah, that like it allows Ripley to express some femininity. It's that side of her. Although this is more explicitly, like what did we need to give Ripley from the first one? She needs to be a mother.
Yeah, and they add Hicks too, which gives like this just it's like a fraction of love interest, like not quite, but like you say, it's enough to feminize her, and there's other things too that there's a lot more like there's a lot more terror, so you get to see different reactions, and I think that's what you were talking about earlier, James, when there's like a power up of this sort of hero action icon that is Ripley, because they first the sequence where they a lot of the Marines are killed off panel, actually, just with screaming and staring into monitors, and like you said that too, Chris, that he's just inducing panic. You're panicking, you're getting cut scenes, and it's great because it caters to having a lower budget and cheaper effects, and it also lets your imagination run wild, like, what the fuck was that? Like, what just happened? What just grabbed that guy? What, so you're panicking, they're panicking, and that's when you get Ripley's first, like, really, like, fuck, like crazy response where she like, this guy's a fucking lieutenant. Like, he's commanding a military operation, and she just fucking like mans him aside. The same thing happens with the release of the face huggers. That's like just like more terror. There's this like ominous, horrible feeling. That scene's really panicky.
Yes, that is the most intense scene.
And she's just blasting that fucking window with that chair.
Yeah.
And you just like, I don't know, she just has a lot of power, a lot of thought process. Like, she sets off the fire alarms, and all these things like just equate to her sort of like ramping up. But then, yeah, like, I think Newt too falls into that like it's a daughter. It's like almost like they make like a family unit out of
there.
Them.
You go. Yeah.
Somehow
exactly it.
Within the film, and then they juxtapose the alien mother with its like, sort of whatever creepy man aliens and then babies or whatever, and then it's just a nice little, I don't know, I guess it's a nice little cake that way.
Yeah, and it's perfect for the Reagan era, and this has been commented on, like, it's like, the family unit. So how do you get, so Ripley needs to become a hard body in a world of hard body action films, and women generally, I don't think they're allowed in the military at this point. One thing, and so like audiences are still going to, like, Vasquez is allowed because she's masculinized, right? But she's also punished for her masculine nature. She has to commit suicide with the effeminate man later. But Ripley will she mans up, so to speak, because children are at stake. Like, why does she go to LV-426? It's because they're like, there's families up there, and she's the families. Oh, children. And as you know from the deleted scenes or whatever, like, it was revealed that her child died in the 57 years and while she was sleeping, which raises questions about, like, I don't know. It doesn't raise questions, but like, there's no talk of a dad or anything. It's just like she left for be a space trucker, and like, I don't know what her kid was up to. But we're presented with this idea that, like, perhaps she was a bad mother. Although I find that difficult to believe, seeing how well she handles Newt. I don't think that tracks.
No.
She immediately like calms Newt down, and later on when she goes to save Newt from the alien, like, Newt literally yells, "Mommy!"
Yeah.
And runs towards her, right? So like, all the imagery is, all the subtext becomes text, right? It just happens to be the case that Hicks gets acid in the face and passes out. It's not his fault.
I wonder if it counts that she has a daughter. Because it's a deleted scene. I wonder if that's meant to be a change of mind. I like the idea. At least it's somewhat redeeming that it's not a biological, like, she's kind of an adopted mother in that case, according to the scenes or the movie as presented to us.
Yeah, I think both Ridley Scott and James Cameron need to, like, be hobbled and made to never touch their own films, because like the Alien Special Edition sucked. It, like, all the things they added, it just made it worse. And they're like, this is the vision that I think they all should have had. And then James Cameron's vision of what people thought they should have was stupid, and it didn't make anything better. Like showing all the people at Hadley's Hope and all that stuff. This movie is streamlined because someone said, fucking cut it down, bro. You can't have a 2.5 hour movie. You can't have a 2 hour and 45-minute movie.
It's never a bad idea to just cut some shit.
Which is another reason why this movie is so great, because it doesn't really hold anyone's hand. Like its storytelling is very simplistic. It is hand holding. I will contradict myself. It is hand holding in terms of action or the things that are seen on the screen. But it, like when Burke's treachery is revealed, it's just like, I checked the computer. Like, here's the order that you sent him over to do it. That's all you need. I don't need to see anything about how this shit happened. I don't need to know where Newt came from. I don't need hints about how the fact that they used to run around in the air ducts while they were kids. Leave that shit alone. Trust my intelligence to figure out what's going on. And like, it's a smart movie. And I've said this before about Ripley. We got to nuke the site for Morbid. The only way to be sure. Like,
well, that's the other thing too. There's more terror in entering Hadley's Hope with the Marines and not having fucking any, like, I didn't need to see Billy with his hard hat. Hey, Donnie, good to see you today. Walking past the Tanny sign. That's ridiculous. That's 100%. Insane. I like to go there blind. I like to go there blind and have there not be a single body. Nobody. Yeah. No fucking, no colonists, no nothing. Or else, where's the fucking dread? Where's my confusion? Yeah, my first viewing of this without the Cameron cut is better. It's fun when you're doing extras to go back and look at that stuff. Like, they cut a cool scene in, and you got to see what happened to Newt's parents, or you got to see like sort of like some like clips of the colony like functional and stuff. But it does actually detracts from this movie, because you're not. The first person you run into is Newt, and you're like, well, how did she survive? Where is everybody else? What? And then when they find the tracking, when Hudson finds everybody, I found them all. They're all under the main fucking cooling center. Okay, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, all you can do is experience the dread. And then to go through the tunnels to find them fucking some kind of secreted resin, everybody's mucus to the walls. And then the first chest burster scene, which, like we were talking about, they riffed off of the first movie. That was a cut scene, and then they did it. It was done far better in this. It was brutal. And then there's the other things too. The soundtrack. This is a dreadful soundtrack. Like,
thank you.
Sorry, not in a bad way. I mean, like this. I'm just saying, like, this isn't something you buy the LP for, and you're like, I think I'll sit around and listen to that fucking terrible orchestra sound, like the dropping dread sounds and shit. Like, you can't do that. But I mean, in terms of like building terror, and like there's violent changes in like audio where you're just experiencing these like offensive noises to just build this like discomfort and goosebumps. Like this soundtrack's done so well, like with the sort of military edge to it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't think I like the soundtrack itself as much as you do, but something interesting Cameron said in the audio commentary is they spent 7 weeks mixing the audio on this one. Whereas with Terminator, he didn't have time and he didn't know how, but for this movie, he says he learned a bunch of stuff, and he was really pleased with the audio. And I'm like, I agree. And I'm glad you picked up on that and feel the same way.
I just think there's cheesiness to it. I feel like there's camp. I feel like there's generally a little bit of camp to this movie, a little bit of fun, a little bit of jokes. But I mean, like that soundtrack is campy to play that military music that way. The little that's so goofy. But I mean, like, it just gets pulled off in a fun way, and I think it's because of the horror is unapologetic. Also, like it's brutal, like very violent.
Yeah, and it's like it contrasts with Alien, because the Alien soundtrack is kind of, I don't know how to say this, twinkly.
Yeah.
But also like goes into those deep places, but then it goes really like space twinkly, and then it goes down. This movie is like John Williams on steroids, and I don't mean that as a compliment. It's like and at any given moment, and it does find like little most of the time Cameron, I think, gets the effect by like there's loud, 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 and then I'm thinking of the dropship moment. They're building it up, elevator to hell, let's go, and then silence.
Yeah, there's a click sound while you drop in, so there's a big blend of aggressive, realistic sound effects.
Yeah.
Where they'll cut the audio, like they'll cut the soundtrack music right out to build additional like dread static. I'm thinking of when Burke gets killed. Oh, you can just hear him fucking breathing himself into oblivion.
Yeah.
In that fucking room with the red lights when he. Anyway, it's it's a good effect to do that, to get that silence.
Yeah. I think that I will say that I really think that this movie's scarier, and I think it also does the alien much better. I think the original design, the slitheringness of it, like it in the original Alien, like when it's done right in the original Alien, I think it's sort of sublime. But when it's done badly, it looks like fucking stupid bullshit.
Yeah, I was watching for that in this one. Quite a bit, because I was, I had a conscious sense that in Aliens, like they were scarier looking, and apparently, like I think Cameron saw it and knew what he was doing, and he said apparently conscious that the creatures would be seen by audiences as people in costumes. He enhanced the designs by extending the arms and often filmed them hung from wires or other atypical positions to make them appear more inhuman. And some of them were like mannequins contorted for inhuman poses that you just kind of flash to, so that they look just more alien, obviously. Even the ones in suits were dancers and stuntmen in lightweight costumes, so they could move quickly. So like, I think a lot of the importance is like quick shots, rapid movement, and you never get the sense of, often it's just the elongated head that's coming right towards you, and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading about that in the special effects things, that the costumes were done, that they were broken down, and they said like when they put light on them, they were horrible looking. Like they didn't have any detail at all almost on them. They like, some of them were just like pure leotards and shit. So they had to like really play around with a lot of dark lighting to get the people moving the way they wanted. I remember that in one of the sort of special features things that they had to just really like black everything out, so that they didn't show much detail.
Yeah, I think they had to replace the cinematographer, I think, for that reason. The guy's name was Dick Bush. You don't forget that guy. No. Yeah.
Apparently,
but I don't know if it was specifically for that. But he was shooting it pretty bright, from Wikipedia tells me, and they were like, no, we need dark. Bring someone else in.
Yeah, they didn't. The crew, we read the same source, Wikipedia. The crew didn't respect him because he was new as a director, and they were all old hands. And he was, it sounded like he was a bit of a prick to them too. But like, I guess they shot in Britain and they just have a different culture. So he's like, you're all fucking lazy, and they protested by just pushing back against them.
Didn't Ridley have the same experience? I seem to recall that. Like, they're filming in Britain and it's just like, fuck. Oh, well.
I seem to remember something about tea breaks and shit.
Yeah.
Constantly fucking around with tea breaks, pissing everybody off.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really interesting, speaking of pushback, is Sigourney Weaver apparently didn't... Cameron just wanted this to be a revenge motivation for Ripley, and Sigourney wasn't having it. She was like, Ripley doesn't hate the alien, doesn't want to fight the alien, but but then James Cameron kind of, as he tells the story, played a game with Sigourney's left liberal sensibilities, and he was like, well, what about, would she be motivated by the families or whatever? And she, they managed to see eye to eye that way. That's how that sort of
Interesting.
thing came into it. Um,
Here's a question I have is like, I think this is one of the things where I see the movie differently. Like I always took for granted like James Cameron's like tough empowered woman thing. I'm wondering if there's not a weird route that he goes about getting there.
mhm. I think in this case there was, like through the interaction with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that though?
Well, there's a couple of quotes that just kind of like raise my eyebrows, and one is that he, like when he's talking about, like he says that it's short-sighted to have a lot of male action protagonists because, like half of your commercially that's unviable because half your audience is women. So, like it's a commercial statement for him in some senses.
Yeah. So but then you have to think about Sarah Connor, and Terminator 2. Although with Terminator 2, I think my sense, well, one, I've never actually really seen Abyss, and that's probably like blasphemous to some
really?
individuals out there. Yeah. I've never really properly sat and watched it. I've seen bits of it, and it's never kind of grabbed me. I understand it's a pretty good movie, but generally speaking,
every time.
Oh.
I tried 3
man.
times.
Generally speaking, though, like I don't like James Cameron, and like it doesn't surprise me that his vision of it, he was like, "This is the ride that I thought everybody would want," and I'm like, "No, you're a bad filmmaker. Your instincts are really bad. Like you have like a genius about you, and you altered the way that films are made. I feel, or at least like the attitude of filming, of big action blockbusters. Let's say that." But the only thing that I really like after this is Terminator 2, and it's probably because he's sort of riffing off of, I don't know who the screenwriter was, but it's a tough woman who's facing post-traumatic stress and trying to fight back against some sort of creature that terrorized them when they were less empowered.
Here's the thing about Terminator as well is that like she's also fighting for her kid, and I think there's a sense there's some quote that he made that's like, like he finds like passive women or weak women like annoying in film, and like so he like rips away all the supports that would normally be there for her, and so that they have to fight for themselves, which is again like a little bit of a weird angle.
Yeah.
And then I found this promotion for Avatar 2 that was just kind of batshit, where he's talking about like everyone's always talking about female empowerment. Well, I thought, what if you had a female warrior who's 6 months pregnant in battle? And then he goes on in this very smug rant where he's like,
nobody's ever done that, huh?
No, that is what he says. And then he's like, I guarantee you back in the day, people had to fight for their children. It didn't matter if they were pregnant. And pregnant women are more capable of being a lot more athletic than we as a culture acknowledge. I thought, let's take the real boundaries off. To me, that's the last bastion. Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, all these other amazing women come up, but they're not moms. They're not pregnant when they're fighting evil. That's a fucking weird flex. Like that's if you're not fighting pregnant, you aren't shit.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But it does ultimately come down to like what activates the mama bear, a mom is a fierce creature. Yeah, I got to be honest. Like there is something intuitively correct about this. Like it is often you'll get, and the same thing with dads too. Like the kid gets activated, and a certain sort of aggression that you might not normally see does emerge.
That is true. There's almost something like gender essentialist about
the way
that he approaches it that seems very consistent. So I'm just kind of in hindsight questioning like where does this all come from for him?
Yeah, it just happens to be the case that they picked up a franchise where Ripley survives, and even then, like in this, he makes her Snow White, he makes her Sleeping Beauty, literally at the beginning. It's all like it's a continuation of the original movie, like almost not visually to the extent that he was able to, given his proclivities. And she's literally like sort of a Sleeping Beauty, and then it ends peacefully like a Sleeping Beauty thing. And getting to the gender essentialism thing, and like James said, like a family unit is established. Like everything about this movie, and what I find most disappointing about it is like the first Alien movie is extremely transgressive and sort of thought provoking, connecting all sorts of different ideas together in this like really heady stew that ultimately has to do with penises and vaginas with teeth. And this movie is like it, and suggesting that like the world that we live in is composed of this terror. The other is us, or the other is the corporate entity that surrounds us. And this movie, like literally, sort of creates the alien mother in order to prevent us from having those thoughts any longer. Like Burke is a piece of shit, but he's not identified with the alien in the same way that Ash was identified with the corporation and the alien. Nor is Bishop.
Burke almost kind of redeems the alien in that she says, like, we're not trying to fuck you, or they're not trying to fuck each other else. They're not trying to fuck each other
for
over
a percentage.
For a percentage. Yeah.
And it creates distance, and then ultimately it just becomes about a mom fighting another mom,
that was the most disappointing part when I kind of realized like that, it's setting up these parallels as James had pointed out, and it's that moment where she's in the egg chamber, and then she like goes to like, she whatever flicks her flamethrower, and then the alien mother's kind of like, whoa, back off, guys. Like, just seemed a little silly to me.
My favorite moment though, Sigourney's so good in this. Like, we haven't really talked about how like fucking fantastic her performance is throughout, like the terror that she represents. Like, she's far and above the best performer in this show. And so the alien does the backing off thing, like she hisses off the people, and then one of the eggs opens, and then Ripley like just gives the alien a weird like kind of like really bitch kind of look, and then just starts.
That's exactly.
It just starts burning everything.
Yeah, that's hard as fuck, and it does redeem the whole scene. That's awesome. Yeah. No,
and it's just a look. It's just a little look. I'm like, okay, she got an Academy Award for this or something. Like, I think she's nominated for Best Actress. Yeah, fucking right.
Yeah, and the end, like when they go up the elevator and the queen's waiting for them, and she's just like, close your eyes, baby. Like that's nerve wracking. They're about to get.
Yeah, she could have just jumped off the platform with the kid into like sort of nuclear abyss, but she's like, let's get eaten instead.
Foreshadowing the third.
Like, that's gutsy. I like Bishop's interesting too, to just sort of like backspin the like you say, just remix the android bit and just be like, he's gonna be not only a super good dude, but absolutely like an intelligence strategist that gets them out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do a good job of like you don't know early on. He is a little creepy, like even though he's innocent, he's
the knife trick. Yeah,
the knife trick
sets a tone.
Yeah, which was cool,
Yeah.
It could, because you have to have a bad guy. I feel like Ash made like you say, if you're gonna play around with the formula, you need an alien and you need a bad guy that's not an alien.
Mm-hmm.
So to take the android out of the equation and then just bring forward Burke, who's just like so greasy.
And in the very proper way, like you see him working. Paul Reiser's fantastic. Like he's not a great actor, but he's so perfect for this role. And just the lines they give him, like when he's trying to convince her, he's like, "Oh yeah, I heard you're working at the docks. Oh no, it's great. I'm glad you're keeping busy."
Yeah, it's so backhanded.
Yeah. And he's clear, and he's read all of her psychological reports. Yeah, I've read all of them. Your boy can, like he's playing everybody. And he even he gets one over on Ripley. Like she is manipulated by him to attend, but she's motivated by her traumatic stress disorder, to like kind of overcome it and fight back and whatnot. But nonetheless, she is played by Burke, and so is everyone. So here's the dumb moment of this movie. The only one really dumb moment, because like you like Gorman makes bad decisions. All the people are making bad decisions, but Ripley's not. The one time
Right.
that Ripley makes a bad decision is when she knows about Burke and then she just goes and sleeps with Newt or whatever. Like she doesn't tell the soldiers, like, by the way, Burke's a piece of shit, ordered the death of all these people. He's like it's just kind of like a blip in order to set up that particular scene. That's the sin of this movie. But
There's
otherwise,
a couple actually, because like when she confronts him directly, it's like, yeah, you're going down. Like I'm gonna, like you don't never tell a sociopath that you're gonna turn them in and torch their whole plan.
Also, that's
not the dumbest thing to do, though.
There's a flaw in that. Like this guy trapped a baby and the only civilian woman on the mission in a room and tried to attach aliens to them so that he could fucking birth monsters inside them. And half of these guys just saw their friends all get murdered by these things and saw one burst out of a woman's chest.
Yeah.
Literally, like, he'd have been dragged out into the hallway and shot.
I'm gonna kill this guy, and they're like, "No, we need to like." You're like,
no,
what?
He's got to go back for what?
Face justice. What? No, he's not gonna face justice. He's gonna
killed everybody.
Yeah. But they make that it's one of those bad apples arguments, right? Like it's not that the corporation did it. It's like Ripley positions it as him collecting a reward or a salvage or something. It's treated like salvage. Like he's an independent entrepreneur, but like that wouldn't be the case, right? He's there on the company's behest. So whatever his contract is, whatever he discovers, like he does not own. But this movie would, anyway, they treat it otherwise. And that's another way that it distances itself from the previous movie, where this movie evokes the possibility that the corporation is going to fuck her over, but it just turns out to be a bad apple.
Yeah, you're right. Because the first one, it's the company is in control of, they're just along for the ride. Yeah, and like you say, this one sort of neuters that theory.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, you're right. Like the company is sending Marines actually to, well, I guess they're protecting their investment.
No, the company's not sending Marines. The company, like, they don't, so far as I can understand from the film, and I think also listening to the audio commentary, there's the idea that like it's the corporation is being sort of bailed out by the American government, because the colonial Marines they even have the American flag on them, right? Whereas Wayland Yutani is just another like Apple or Sony or some shit like that.
They're too big to fail.
So like, yeah, something's gone wrong, and so like they're sending in the Marines because that's apparently what you do. But they're not under the control of the corporation, even though the corporation probably like develops all their weapons, like more like Raytheon, right? It's like they got to go deal with a Raytheon corporation or a Raytheon plantation or whatever.
Right,
Yeah. Because Hicks has the authority to drop the bomb, even though Burke is like, I can't authorize that, and they're like, well, he doesn't have power, I guess is my point.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which is another thing that eliminates the dread, though, that element of the dread, and it just turns into a battle of hard bodies and gung-ho spirit and the nuclear family versus communism in a sort of way, in that like in the way that collectivism, the monstrous insect life that is life under communism, where individuality is eliminated, and the only way to destroy them is through a nuclear explosion.
It is Rambo.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I was thinking too. I always thought that it was so I don't know, like hard that they just like kill Newt off in the third movie. But now I'm starting to wonder, and I haven't seen it for a while, but like that's maybe, is it just an erasure of like something that Fincher recognized in Cameron's script, or that sort of like take on Alien, and like just dropping that from the script and the DNA of it.
There's James probably knows a lot about this, but I'm sure I don't know anything about it. But I think at the end of the day, even though I don't know why Newt was dropped, and I feel it just has something to do with licensing or some shit, or actresses. At the end of the day,
there was
though,
in that movie, I think it was they were shooting under rough conditions.
Okay.
Like I think he had like some kind of, like, I know Fincher had some kind of like he brought them somewhere that was really fucking awful to shoot that, to make it look like that, like the way it did. There's a realistic, and apparently brought like buckets and buckets of like bugs and shit on set, and just dumped fucking bugs and insects and lice everywhere. Yeah. So everybody had to shave their heads. So it was I think it was like a bit of a rough environment. So I don't know if that's maybe what pulled Newt out. I remember Michael Bain, he got a little high on himself and
wouldn't come back.
Yeah, he didn't want to come back unless they gave him X amount of dollars. And then he said, "Oh, you're giving me some chump ass rookie director. Get that shit out of my face." And then he's done interviews since and said he shot himself in the foot.
Lamented,
he was like, I you look back in retrospect and say, like, I didn't know David Fincher was going to be David Fincher, and I acted like an asshole, and is what it is now. And
but the consequence of it, and we don't need to talk about Alien 3 too much, but a consequence of it, whatever the reason for the erasure of Newt and Hicks, Ripley immediately becomes like one super fucking like extra tough in a prison in which it's all men and they hate women. But also she becomes more sexual because she sleeps with the doctor, and becomes sort of playful in that respect. It's a much different Ripley. But also it's still continuous with the Ripley that we've seen. Like, she contains multitudes as a character, and Alien 3 is another movie that evokes a different element of her, which unfortunately will be sort of resurrected in Alien Resurrection. Like, having watched Alien 3, I was like, oh, this version of Ripley makes a bit more sense.
Alien Resurrection Ripley is just not what anyone should have done.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I rewatched that one as well, and I came away with it. I'm trying to remember why I liked it so much the first time, like when we've talked about it. But I think it's because I've watched all these Alien movies, and when we watched Alien Resurrection in our first conversation, I hadn't seen any other Alien movies in a long time, so I was really able to sort of divorce it from the franchise and just take it as it was. This time I just wasn't able to, just because of context, and it didn't sit well with me as a consequence, I think. But whatever, it's still a fun movie. It's just very, very different, and it's like very, very strange. Yeah. Especially in comparison to this fucking bad boy. What's your favorite part of Aliens? Let's be nerds.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah, I know my favorite part right away.
Go ahead.
We got fucking sharp sticks. We got rocket launchers. We got nukes. That's
the part that what are you talking about? That's got to be from the special edition, I hope.
He's in the drop ship, and he's talking about all the shit they've got to like fight monsters with.
Oh, that's not in the regular edition, I don't think.
No.
I think it's a special edition moment.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, that is a favorite. Oh yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, because they load all that shit.
It's just like a Bill Paxton monologue that's absolutely mental, and it makes me cry.
Oh. No, they cut that shit. Like, that was out for the regular way. It's funny how much you've watched the special edition, dude. I only bring that out
I
for like
shit about it, but
yeah,
it's called The Ultimate Badass Scene. It's like 48 seconds long, and it's stupid as fuck. Anyway, I'll share it. Maybe we could share a link.
Like in the show notes or whatever.
Yeah.
I just go on YouTube and you'll
just look up Ultimate Badass fucking Aliens. You'll find it.
The Chris, do you have a thing? How many like is this one that you've rewatched like a whole fuck ton throughout your
This one I
life,
probably
or
watched
is it
like 5 times or something like that. Like not the
okay?
most out of any
Yeah,
movie that I've rewatched a lot, but not bad. I think I love Bishop so much, and the knife scene always just impresses me, especially Phil Paxton's reaction to it. Like apparently like he didn't know that they were gonna do that. Like that's like lore for the movie.
right.
And that was confirmed by Lance Hendrickson, and like he accidentally stabbed his finger like a tiny bit, and he's just laughing about it. He's like, yeah, it was funny.
Yeah,
That, and I think like I don't know, we talked about it already, but the tension of that face hugger scene when they're trapped in there, and just like what the fuck would you do? Because to me that's of all, well, most deaths, that would probably be one of the worst ones to get the face hugger death. So to be locked in a room with those and like just having to bash the thing, and just the cleverness of triggering the sprinkler system, getting the Marines in there. It's all very tense.
Yeah. I think I like the first time that Ripley gets in the loader and does her like where do you want it, because also I love Apone's response, Bay 12, thanks, whatever he says, like just the way they laugh between the two of them, because she acts all fucking tough, and then like and then just like they're really charmed, but at the same time they think it's funny, like it's almost sort of cute.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
I like the stew of that. That always pleases me. And then I guess like the final fight with the alien. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I really like it. I like that Ripley becomes like a fucking cyborg. Like she kind of becomes, getting back to this Ash as corporation, Alien as corporation, like, and getting to the toxicity of this movie. She becomes sort of a cyborg in order to defeat. Like she becomes sort of corporate in the language of Alien. In order to defeat the other, and so like it's both cool, but it's also like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that you can pull from it, and I don't know if that's why I like it. I think I just like watching robots fight aliens. I think it's very much as simple as that, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
No, it's a great choice.
Yeah, well, you can't go wrong, man. She said they said alien, and you thought it was a legal alien. You signed up.
Fuck you.
Anybody mistake you for a man? Anybody mistake? Yeah. Fuck.
How do
I get out of this chicken shit outfit? That's a great scene.
Yeah. I actually quoted that in a meeting once. Someone was like, "Any questions?" I was like, "Yeah, how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?" And then like after I said it, I was like, "No one's gonna get this reference," and no one did. And everybody thought I was an
asshole. I dropped that bomb on my new boss not that long ago, and he got it. He cracked up.
No, wrong. I didn't read the room correctly. It was it wasn't embarrassing because I don't give a shit about them, but I was still like, faux pas.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what? If nobody picked up that reference, that's a group of people you don't ever want to associate with outside of work.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was outside of work. Otherwise, I never would have said such a thing. But it's
sad. That's sad.
Yeah, it was sad. It was fucking sad. Not like us, who are very good at watching aliens movies.
Yeah,
we stay in our parents' basements.
We should keep doing it.
Yeah,
like Cameron would like. No, yeah. Cameron wants us not to do it. We're not going to listen to him.
No,
we've learned that he's a right-wing reactionary. Maybe.
I think his.
Is he?
No,
I don't
think so. But
no, there's I don't know if he's a reactionary.
Yeah, exactly. Reactionary is far too far, but yeah, there's an undercurrent there for sure. I've now picked up on.
I think if we, I don't know, I'm never going to do it. I've never seen, as I said, I've never seen The Abyss or not seen the full extent of it, right? But I think if we rewatch Titanic, I think a lot of things would become clear for us.
Ooh.
Oh, that Kate loves Titanic.
We're not doing it. That's not an invitation. We're never doing it. The
I'll
question
give you
of
40 minutes of the abyss.
what do you mean?
The pipe that I stay awake for.
The abyss
I
is
see.
good. You
Yeah.
guys got to get to the end. That's when the shit hits the fan.
Well, that's the part I've seen, and it seemed interesting, but it doesn't interest me. So one thing about this movie in comparison to Alien is how blue it is. Like everything's very blue. When the moment you open up, even space is kind of blue. You know, like you see in this that Cameron very much wants this to be like underwater. It would be better if it was just like underwater. That's the ultimate space. You're like, oh, you fucking prick. You're an idiot.
Fucking pervert.
Yeah. To this day, I'm shocked. Like the fact that have you seen the second Avatar yet, James?
No.
No, right. And that is the I don't even mean offense. There's no way that you're gonna that is a damning indictment because you love to.
I love
the trough, man.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm a fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know?
And the fact that you have not watched that is so damning in my mind. I'm just like, I'm never touching that with a 10-foot thousand
That's
fucking
so
ball.
bad. Dude, I would rather watch the Muppets fucking Christmas Carol. Like that seeing what he's doing and then getting having it jerked off by critics. I can't continue to abide by this. I watched the first one, it was Pocahontas. It makes me angry. It's insane. I don't care what kind of visual effects you're developing. If you're making a mental defective movie about blue people and holding down all these bizarre actors that are playing ball with you and kissing your ass, it's just this. It seems to be this creepy inner circle of weird James Cameron nepotism that's feasting off of this high hog. It's this is where capitalist money goes to die. Let's spend it on this. And I just I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to look underwater, and I don't want a different race of other blue people. And there's nothing. It can't be sold to me.
What
I'm
if I
finished.
told you that a 6-month pregnant woman fights for her children? Now, do you want to see it?
What if it was a feminist triumph? You know,
if it's a feminist triumph.
Okay, I guess. I mean, I can be swayed. I'm staring at my Showdown in Little Tokyo disc here beside me.
I think what's happened with Cameron is you can measure how shitty he's become by the amount of lighting that he employs in order to get his effects done. Because this movie, I just watched The Queen come out, and it's just everything looks so fucking cool. Everything looks great. It's all close shots and dripping stuff, and it's all practical effects. And then just he just discovers computers, and people just show up, and I recognize that people show up, so he doesn't get any negative feedback. But Terminator 2, the darkness increases or diminishes, right? And it's a little it's bigger. And then after Titanic and whatnot, it's just it's all brightly lit, and it looks stupid as what we call sci-fi show. It just looks fucking dumb. And
I think I want to circle back to the beginning when I ran and raved whether that makes the cut into the episode or not.
Yeah.
But this is a man who now, not unlike Ridley, is a super rich senile fuckface.
Yeah.
who honestly thinks he knows better than everyone else, whose technology has advanced far past his own knowledge and skill set, who thinks that he can just market a fucking Blu-ray rip back into 4K and doesn't understand that there are people out there, believe it or not, who not only are looking for image quality and a picture transfer, that also understand how the technology works, who he can't bamboozle and think he's fucking smarter than. And this is a symptom of Avatar.
He's become the company.
Oh yeah, fucking Jesus. Right, man. Yeah. That's the end of the episode.
That's a perfect ending. That's fucking right, man.
Yeah. Fucking A, why'd you put her in charge?
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.